right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Did you guys all have a good night? I hope so. I hope it was a restful sleep after a very busy and productive day. I just want to say miigwech to our singers here for rendering us those songs, and to our those who had smoked their pipes for us, miigwech ogichita, Chief Abangi, Dawn, and Reno. Also just want to say miigwech to our elders for being present here with us. They had informed me yesterday that they don't need to do a prayer today because that's already been done yesterday. They said what they needed to say, but they will, if they feel the need to chime in with something, they will definitely do so. And then we'll also be hearing with them as we kind of end things. So today continues to be the National Assembly. There are still a couple items that we need to get done before we move into the Chiefs Assembly. So yesterday was a busy day. Like I said, we heard from our committees. We heard from our Women's Council, our Men's Council. We got an update from our Youth Council and our 2S LGBTQIA plus Council. So miigwech for those members for being here and providing us with those updates. We had there was a healing song rendered for them just to give them strength and to offer, give them that push to move forward in a good way. I feel like that was something that, was deeply important to them. So I'm glad that we were all here to witness that and help support them in that way. We also heard from our three of the four pillars of our chiefs. So we heard from our economic chiefs, their update, some of the activities that they've been up to, our cultural chiefs, and our environmental chiefs. Next, we're going to go into our social chiefs. So before we do that, I just want to note that there has been a little bit of a change to the agenda, but that will be brought up later this morning by Don once the Chiefs Assembly is open. So with that, I'd like to invite members of the social chiefs to come up here and begin their presentation.
Is this on? Okay, miigwech. All right. The social chiefs and the technicians are up front here. Zigwan, Indijkas, Mustodem, Anamkiwajing, Donji, Chief Linda McVicker from Anamkiwajing. We do it a little bit different. Usually, Chief Carrie Adatis, Norwegian, who is the chair of the social chiefs, will read the reports provided by the technicians. So she was unfortunately not able to be here, so she asked me if I could do that in her stead, so I don't mind doing that. So first of all, I would like to begin by acknowledging all the leadership that's here, the elders, the representatives of our Treaty 3 communities, and the traditional items that are present. This guidance continues to shape our work. I'll begin with the Health Transformation Department. I would like to thank Shelley Sky for preparing the report for the Social Chiefs. Shelley is in an interim role as the Health Director. Everyone knows Shelley. She's been around for a while. And we're currently, I think it closes today. There's a competition for a new health director, and my understanding is we have some good candidates, so we're looking forward to welcoming whoever that person is. So first of all, some of the activities that they're doing is relationship building with the funding partners. That has been taking place via technical tables and senior official meetings. A seniors official meeting was held in November 2024 to share updates on health transformation. Key updates include health law engagement themes, patient transportation, NIHB, mental health and addictions, and safer births. So now just regarding the health law and the development of the health law, the work that's been happening with that. 17 out of the 28 community engagement sessions have been completed to date. So 3 communities were completed in 2025, Kijik Bay, Saugeen, and Nokkamagwaning. Focused engagements include the 2 SLGBTQIA+ for this fiscal year. So there have been 37 engagements and graphic recordings on the health law to date. Health Transformation Team will begin planning engagements to complete the remaining 11 communities, which is a fair number. I would encourage the communities who haven't been able to get the team in to engage to please try to do so, because it's been a while now, and I find that the communities who've spoken, whose elders and members have put their hope in this transformation and this law, you know, they're looking forward to this. So if we could do this together and be united and try to get it done, to respect the ones who have already participated. That was just my own comment. That wasn't Shelley's. A gap analysis and needs assessment will be completed by a BC consulting firm that has first-hand experience with the BC First Nations Health Authority. This will help inform the next steps. The health team will begin transcribing all the videos that were filmed during the community engagements to validate what we heard from the engagements and utilize for further analysis. 2 elder gatherings were held in the fall of 2024, one in Kenora and one in Fort Frances, to dialogue on the equitable recognition and honoring practices of traditional practitioners in comparison to Western medical practitioners. A follow-up gathering is being planned for the elders this year to review the information gathered. You can find the report for these gatherings at the health booth. The ministry flowed $2 million in funding to support the Drug Task Force strategy, national strategy, social emergency coordination, crisis fund, and support the ad hoc table. Drug Task Force leads completed a SCOT analysis with the frontline staff in 2025, NADAP, mental health, and youth workers. The report has been completed by Red Sky Vision. A recovery story campaign was initiated in 2024 with great success and will be launched this summer. A pilot on One Box was initiated in communities. This is a tool to support individuals to be able to respond to overdose. The mental health toolkits are still available, and we distributed as requested. Health continues to have emergency beds available at the Bruce Oak Recovery Center this fiscal year. We have 6 graduates from the center, 6 of our Treaty 3 members that have gone through the treatment there. Ministry has provided funding to support the midwifery priority. There is $3 million for 24-25 and $4 million for 25-26 year under Safer Births to support the midwifery and maternal health needs in Treaty 3. Maternal health and midwifery analyst was recently hired and will work with regional partners and communities to develop lodges and supports in the Treaty 3 area for midwifery services. The Anishinaabe Workforce Development Table had its first meeting in February 2025. There was a dialogue on how we can partner to welcome new physicians to Treaty 3 with ceremony. Next engagement is being planned. Traditional medicines, a $125,000 grant was secured for a 2-year project focused on improving and protecting traditional medicines in Treaty 3, mapping traditional medicines, intergenerational knowledge transfer, harvesting protocols and protection, and increasing access to traditional medicines in healthcare systems. NIHB continues to be a priority, and ISC has committed to a meeting to discuss the prior approvals issue identified by the Indigenous Care Coordinator at Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Center. The directory and report to support 2 SLGBTQIAP+ in accessing gender-affirming healthcare is under development in partnership with EverSick, Arts, and LGBT Youth Line, supporting resources for parents of 2S LGBTQIAP+ youth and creating inclusive and safe environments will be completed in June 2025. Data Governments Committee has recommended 5 research projects and approved in 2024. Agreement renewal is in the works with the Institute of Clinical and Evaluative Services, who holds Treaty 3 IRS data. Kidney disease plan in Treaty 3 includes closing the gap on screening. Ontario Renal Network and one Treaty 3 community will participate in the kidney screening project to be implemented in summer 2025. Fit Kit initiative will be launched in summer 2025 to close the gap on colon cancer screening. Work is currently underway with communities and partner organizations for this to happen. Translation services on a voice-automated step-by-step guide of how to complete the kit. Health has 4 resolutions to consider at this assembly. I just want to say that I really appreciate all of the work that the health staff has done. It hasn't been an easy time, and as you heard from the other committees that have reported, there's been problems with recruitment and retention, but particularly so in the health. And despite that, they've done a lot of good work, and they're around. If you guys have any questions, they can certainly help try to answer them. Next, I would like to report from Karen Foster. Karen is the new social director, and that department too as well. Everyone is getting up to speed. Karen has a lot to digest and to figure out what the landscape is. As we all know, it's very complex. There's the final settlement agreement, the regional one with Ontario, all that information, and also coming up is the 1965 welfare agreement that, or what's the title for that? The 1965, well, trilateral agreement. It's the Indian welfare agreement, I think they call it. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot, even for the chiefs. There's some chiefs that haven't been on the committee for that long, but we're trying now to meet quarterly and get back up to speed because there has been some transition. So, but still, despite that, the work's been continuing. So the social unit operates under the leadership of the Social Chiefs Committee and works in close collaboration with the Women's Council. Our mission is to integrate traditional Anishinaabe governance with modern social service systems with a deep respect for treaty and inherent rights. The mandate is to advocate for the well-being of Anishinaabe children, families, and communities. We ensure that culturally relevant, community-driven services are in place, rooted in the values of each First Nation. The key focus areas have been policy advocacy, addressing critical issues such as gender-based violence, human trafficking, poverty reduction, and implementation of Abanuji and Nakanagewin. Community engagement, working with leadership, band reps, and knowledge keepers from across our communities to develop and implement their child care law across Treaty 3. So regarding the Abanuji and Nakanagewin implementation, this is our traditional child care law, which will affirm Treaty 3 jurisdiction over child and family well-being. We are continuing to guide and support our communities while they develop their own child care laws. Community engagements occurred in the following communities: Wajishkanigam, Wabaskang, Migizi, Saugigan, Nisashwan, Lac-de-Mille-Lac, and Nikachwanan. Key milestones in November 2024, Elders and Leadership Gathering in Thunder Bay, where traditional legal consistencies were reviewed, law versions from 2005 and 2019. Coordinated workshops to engage grandmothers in the lawmaking process. In February 2025, there was the Chiefs of Ontario Assembly. The Resolution 0125S was passed by the Chiefs of Ontario Special Assembly to ratify the final agreement. The resolution confirms for the Ontario First Nations support for the reform, commitment to seeking approval from the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, and the continued participation in any proceedings that arise from this process. For Treaty 3, this agreement creates a path for full recognition of our laws and systems, especially the implementation of an Abanuji and Nakanagewin. It provides financial and political tools to build our own service delivery structures on our own terms. The steps immediate after the final agreement. So currently, the final settlement agreement is before the CHRT. My understanding is there's 13 interveners, so it may take a bit of time to sift through that for the CHRT to make those determinations about who has status. But the work is ongoing, and I commend the Chiefs of Ontario and NAN for continuing that work. The social unit continues to work with First Nations to gather needs and develop local lawmaking and implementation plans. All developments are being communicated through the Social Chiefs Committee and technical staff to keep Treaty 3 leadership informed. So in March 2025, there was a data and knowledge exchange. Learned from Splatsen's First Nations presentation on exploring nation-to-nation data sharing, planning for stronger data governance frameworks within Treaty 3. In April and May, I would say as well, just regarding the 1965 Indian Welfare Agreement, that's the title. There are discussions taking place at the Chiefs of Ontario level with the social chiefs from Ontario towards a new reformed agreement that will address equitable funding, infrastructure needs, and greater control. The poverty reduction efforts, we've participated in pallet shelter planning and worked with the City of Kenora and KDSB to support the homeless population, continuing dialogue to advocate for shelters and support systems for vulnerable communities. We continue receiving updates on the progress of the final settlement agreement before the CHRT. We continue community engagement for Abenuji and Akanagewan, supporting local law development, ongoing collaboration with band reps and social chiefs to communicate updates and respond to evolving needs. Treaty 3 priorities, or there's monitoring of the progress of no, I don't understand what that point is. It was about the progress of the trilateral agreement negotiations to ensure our priorities are reflected, and the 1965 agreement. We did make a request. I'll just say I made a request, and we're expecting a letter about having a seat at the negotiation for that agreement. So we're awaiting the response from the ORC and that group. We are planning a gathering for October 7th to 9th for band reps, youth elders, and portfolio holders to come together to share the progress, successes, and challenges of developing the child care laws in our Treaty 3 communities. So on behalf of Karen, she would like to say miigwech to all the communities, leaders, elders, and staff who are committed to the well-being of our children and families, and that our work is rooted in the strength of our traditions, and we will continue to advocate for culturally grounded First Nations-led solutions. So I'd just like to offer, if any of the social chiefs or their proxies had anything to say. I will say that there has been, I'll just say myself, a little bit of a lag in working on the health law, and I like to push things, and I don't understand it all the time, but some of it has to do with some of the change in the staff and the turnover, which makes it hard to maintain the emphasis on collaboration and teamwork. But I think we're back on track. We want the rest of you communities to do your engagements so that we can get moving along. Miigwech.
Puro, wakian kutnes nekas. Makwan dotem. Not kami waning nonji. Dogi makanyo. Kogo ma chene niti bacham. Ain kami gizang. Imach dan yogi makanyan. Git kone ninyo 30 years. Nyamandan. Kaish ge magak. The drugs my gajan got taken. Amadan. COVID magak. Mi magaunja kaunja. Kagi jimas saying. Kanishna kinawaya kiniga zog. Hendat chayat. Mishem shkikion kawatakot mi maga kage unji seg kage amadaman ni nego kiano kian kishka no kian gi ekuz gim tato 3 months gim tato nijing Gagong ikchagon kagin kamigak kya no kian kya basgo no chiun mi share at our traditions mine kino kwezi ging skikiang gabet doing mi magay kai jan mi share ikchichi goan gi kugat me go chat me pitoan mi shkai kitan mi spina roya nominate wawat gab me pitong ikat ajus gi kedan an ki wa di ran di chego ni chanis nabek giks kwendam so ge at gi bigyan ni ka ong ge ang gi me pitosin giks kwendam ajus sigon yaz Giktam egos gego, aja we eşti giyan gego, hiç yaga ni chanış nabek, miçiye, kabat takot yap, çünkü kiyan gatap miye, işma geniş geniş gemen public safety gajin katek, gi trainee gomen. Kinago my council and all our directors and people that were katno kim at nishnabe keo gano chigot 3 months magi amen gi saga setimen gi kena magomen mitish mami drug task force kajin ka take wa maga amagak Jim and Tiffany got the bendabat me taught. Keep it chicken on it. Chimmy go chucks ago. Zamazin is nugget. Kicking got up in the mud. Nibagi tunya naning is just not make me. Mishiaga yam and the Maya no kiang. Mi shake tamego zian. Chimi got the money, yeah. When it's ago, Magan about the being. We cheating in key. Hako zilg. Mingage in another 10 the man, Hako zilg. Gain key and then anything Jano Chindoa. Chewy Chindoa. Magi amen. Gim taught to men all it kikuwet our knowledge keepers. Chipmat taught. Me go and drugs and alcohol. We not should go be to na. Beno chuge kakanamo in da. Migi gagim taught. Gichi cantam sugi antam igong any chun. Chui chaga chubamat tuan. Once a month we mtat dog. We not sugar. Melton kege on the shingego. Ajuma katebachame, katebachamoing. Chui chiting. Melton kege kijo on the shingego kimi gatamengego. Chittigo chui chitting. Migo chasago ogichita oigayat. Meneto aki. Abanichi abanochi and akon again. Me abachituang. Shao and Dawson, me chip meat to what, yeah. Nino chip meat to one. 아저씨가 아닌 나got 미국 왜봐 니민 좋아하는 아내가 없으면 게시게 나 와 기대벤도 못 또 번에 찜에 저 답변에 가서 왔게 하봐 You mind I get doing reinventing the wheel. We don't have to aja mate chimen jaming. Sanagat oa sanagat kitaks kit dobendish. Chitugut chui chiting. When it's go we pick an ojet. Go which to. Kiga ro bigi goang. Ni mama. Iki ni mata ngam de moa. Iki what is it? You go panega that which tone? Yom chicken up ken which tone? Which yamen jaman. Kai ken amot am de moa. Mi set go wiki ton. Chimi goch.
I might just, I was thinking about my community, and we set up a little harm reduction clinic. It's all ready to go. WinHack's going to help us. They're going to come in there. Except the province doesn't care about harm reduction anymore. There's two clinics in Kenora. The one private one closed, so all of those clients, I guess, are going over to the public one. So there's a challenge now. Who's going to write the prescriptions? Which is very sad because, so I'm going to just be phoning doctors up, I guess, but there are some existing prescriptions, I think, where we can help the neighboring communities so they don't have to disrupt their lives and go all the way to Kenora by taxi every day, which is part of it. But we really wanted to have a place where our members and our neighboring communities, relatives, members could begin that journey and be peer support for others, to find a way to a healthy lifestyle, healthy living. I just find what I'm hearing is upsetting to me in some regards about Ontario's philosophy around harm reduction. They're making announcements about places that are to help people, but it's unsettling to me. Like the HIV and the hepatitis rates in our Ontario are crisis levels now in our region, and the public health officer told us that was going to happen. She said we needed a safe injection site, but we didn't get one. And now they've shut them all down. So that's a health crisis right now, HIV and hepatitis. So it's hard to put this all together and try to figure out how to help, but we will. Miigwech.
Excuse me, Buju?
Sure. Oh, okay, David.
Yeah, yes, good morning. Dave Breer from Coochie First Nation proxy for Chief Richard Breer. More on a positive note, and this is always something that has interested me for a number of years. And it's something that would help with drug strategy. It would help to promote better health. And I also hear, I believe this, we are going to be building a new Treaty 3 office. But I'd like to have in that office a couple people's pictures that many years ago they have won the Tom Longboat Trophy. And I believe there was one from, I know there's one from the Fort Francis area, and I'm sure there's one from the Kenora area. And that's the only two that I'm aware of, and I certainly stand to be corrected if there is more. But to follow that initiation, that every 4 years that we nominate people for builders and other sports that feel, but not everybody, just a certain number, maybe a dozen or so that is inducted into a Sports Hall of Fame. So young people can have something to strive for. And that's something I'd like to share with you. Miigwech.
All right, I believe we are done with the updates for now. The floor is now open for questions, comments, discussion. I'd first like to go to Chief Copenaz.
Buju. Buju, Mishkwab, Nandishnikas, Makwan, and Dodam, Anishinaabe, and Dao. I was having a conversation last night with family, and we're talking about addictions, and we're talking about the cycle of poverty, we're talking about all of these issues that we deal with as chiefs on a regular basis. And the part that really stuck with me that came up was how people are stuck in their grief and how there's a real epidemic of grief taking place in the communities today because we're facing so many losses. We're just facing so many deaths. And we're facing so much illness. And I find that you end up with community members and family members who just get stuck in this grief, and some of them get stuck in the grief right until the day that they die. And they're just not able to escape it. They're not able to find ways to live life again. They're not able to find ways to love again. They're not able to find ways to come back to community. And I was just wondering if there's something that Grand Council Treaty 3 is offering in terms of programming. I know that communities, I see Garland Moses, for example, does individual grief sessions with different communities. But I was just wondering if there's something collectively that Treaty 3, the social chiefs, can think about considering when it comes to grief across, even if it's a dialogue. Because again, I just find that it drives addictions, you know, it drives all of these elements that we talk about. I was listening to Chief Gary talk about the traditional items and the prayers and all of our sacred items that got him back to where he is in his place where he's able to help. I'm just wondering if there's strategies that we could use to, again, even if it's a nation's grief strategy, I'm not sure what it would be, but I can't express again how dire it feels. And I know that there's good stuff happening. I know that there's good stuff happening in other communities, but it doesn't feel like that back home. And I'm just wondering if there's more that we can be doing in this area. Miigwech.
Do this one. Bonjour, Kichkanago Kwen, Dishnakas, Wapshishi, and Dodem. Yes, grief has been a huge issue across all the communities with all the losses that we've had, for sure. And I know that in prior years we have done a lot of training, offered a lot of training to the communities and the organizations to be grief support, grief care counselors, to be grief, to be able to do grief group work. I'm not sure whether that actually came about, but it's definitely something on our radar through the Drug Task Force, and comes up often in the work, in the dialogue that we have at that table with the losses. From a worker perspective, but also from family and community members as well. And the leadership. The leadership also carry that grief. And so definitely it's something that we're looking at, and social and health teams will work together to look at what we can do on a nation basis as strategy. Miigwech.
Miigwech. We'll go to Chief Abungi.
Bonjour. Bonjour. Miigwech. Gitabach moik anin kiga nin kiek. Migizi we benesik indigo or benesik mina. Shin kanago tikendo dem. Koega miigwech tagas mina. Gikshkiton genin ji binigan or gikshkusen sheba. Or gege nondavak ge teganak mina sheba. Nimin manju ge nondaman ne or gege wichigo zian genin in cage minima. Jimin chigayan to way we need to bezindaman or ge way we need to tabachman again in Pangate the go in as you can demand or it is immigration in them. Or again, the more can ye skito sin chinago, you know the man ge opposite gawin, chief copenes, because just gawin nimanoyat, migwich gan dana, gikskitot, one ke pakanang gawin of a jitat or she's gazetting ma. Mitishan ke being baksen the man, oega jendang, oega nongam ga non the man. We go in went a chanim saying, Nibuge go and ke measure guys saying, Gikanama taken, measure gajat, Nimama gainin, no again, no come, Nibu in the tona. Mitish gain in went chanim saying, Nongam, Nibu again the toman, you can't amen there. Mitish chagrin sit doing me na in K. Mitish again in Buxen the man eating you go there. Magjap kan oi bijat. Kan de ne maganan, peshuka de ne maganak. Pekan win arj bijat et chuichi gorzian, oi chitabachmot, anin win and the manjuat. Anin ge chuichat nishnabe, anin ge wina, nimenoi at chuichat. Chuichat ni chansia, usia. Nibuganin went in K wabadaman, kan Panagain went yeah, Minchige seaman. Gitaman a quaman go gaming went. Yeah, Nuchagogi Bazich gaming gish Guishcribbing, Magshagi me cutting, Magshagi cutting. When it saw and K, Nibu me tuna, yeah. Me to shit about negatic, church at watch more and K. We na ma kinin with the Migizagan. In case skitoinche guakibeing, chizindman. Can always scat and dung or magajaga go chaman and chitaguch bungit the moat in there. Nibi mutuna can scat in the moat. Oh, yeah, come on in the moat. Mean case Buxen the man gain in, no dog or make which and cake in is a sake, or I get the batchmat. Pegish the skate and cane is a sake. Miigwech gibzindo I go on. Miigwech oe mina teganak nokum snanak mushum snanak. And so danamak ba me I gina non the way nogum. We winning go quite again chinim minimanjuan gainin. Nibio gainin is snack sick good thing the matazin. Gegogi nugget in the man, giman in the man gego. Jim now I am gaining is a good dead. I'll miigwech.
Miigwech, Chief. So this is, I just wanted to just send a friendly reminder that this is still part of the National Assembly. We are being live streamed, I believe, today still. We were yesterday for the National Assembly, so we do have an online audience, you know, people, some citizens who could not attend here in person, who are very invested in what's been said here. We do have technicians, translators, professional translators here. We have the benefit of having them on site. But for those online, perhaps, and some of us maybe who aren't wearing any translators at the moment, if we can just, I know it's not going to translate exactly, but just because there's stuff in Anishinaabe Mowin that you can say that maybe it doesn't exactly translate to English, but if you can just, for the benefit of everyone, just kind of say what you need to in English too, please. Miigwech.
Sure. I don't do that purposely. I'm really trying to push the language. So that's my motive here. But what I just spoke about was just in regards, and I just want to, again, say thank you to the Chief Social Committee and also the technicians and also to the former chiefs that made some comments in regard to, the grief. And I just spoke a little bit about, a lot of our communities comes with a lot of challenges and obstacles over the years, those that have went into residential school, colonization, all those processes, right? So I think our generations are stuck in that cycle, and somehow we need to help them along. And part of what I was talking about there is to bring those, we have restorative justice circles for justice, but we don't have those healing circles in our communities where we could actually bring together other people outside resources that may be available to structure those and help us with that process, because the confidence might not be their own because they got their own history of trauma and abuses, right? And so to have that other circle of support to support the community members and bring them into that circle, I think it's something that's needed in our communities. And I compliment, Shelley talked about it a little bit, and I think it's something much needed, a good move in our community, but in the same sense, helping our families even with the childcare. How do we restore, reconnect those families that have been lost and bring them back in and start that healing within inside the community, not outside the community, but within inside the community. Miigwech.
Miigwech. And miigwech for indulging us in English too. And I ask with respect as well. And it's always beautiful hearing the language, and I do still highly encourage that use for sure. We need to keep that because language is part of who we are as Anishinaabe. I believe, do we have another comment here, Chief? Come again?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, the language, something about the language anyway, and, it's up to people to learn the language. I mean, they shouldn't be told. Somebody, especially a chief, should not be told to translate. There's a translator. If people online want to know what was said, they should record it. It must be recorded, right? And if it is, then they can ask somebody what they said. Like, she's not going to say the exact same thing that she said in the language. I know what she said, but I just thought that was very disrespectful. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Come Again, and I apologize. I did not mean any disrespect. As I had mentioned, I am still learning, co-chairing an assembly of this and addressing chiefs in this sort of gathering. So I apologize. I do not mean any disrespect in asking for that translation. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Donna. Been a lot of question about the epidemic that we're in with respect to all of us in our communities losing a lot of our members through over ODs, suicide, or just generally dying from the use of substance. I want to reflect back probably maybe 20 years ago in my home community, Nutkamegwaning. We had a series of deaths in the community. We lost maybe 15 in about a year and a half. And at that time, the chief and council, I was part of that group back then, we declared a state of emergency. And we tried many things. We met with our elders, but there was an individual, one of our elders. His name was Don Kelly, Donald Kelly, Mijaki, is what we called him in Ojibwe. He took a heart attack. They flew him into Kenora. From Kenora, they took him to medevaced him to Winnipeg, where they briefly lost him. His heart stopped, and then I don't know how long later he came back. And on his return to our community, he offered myself tobacco and another friend of mine. His name is Alfred Henry. He's got relatives in here in this community. One of them was, I think, Clarence. That was his uncle. He was my best friend. He was my teacher. He showed me a lot of things out on the land, on the lake. But anyways, it was him and I, this individual, chose to offer tobacco to relay a message. He confided in us that while he died on the operating table, he left. He did actually leave. He left, and he came to a white fence with a gate, and on that white fence were several of the people that left our community, passed on through drugs or alcohol, suicide. They're all like this on the fence. And when he got to them, they were all so happy. Each of them spoke how happy they were to see him again. Then finally, one of the older of the gentlemen that passed on already talked to Mijaki. Kaingi mshema kinadawenda ko sa sicha yain. Kibaksen migo chinajegi in. Chitibachi moen anin e jishi bak nasine oyagip sab mangit. Basically, this older gentleman that had passed on earlier told Mijaki, "You're not supposed to be here yet. You have unfinished business back home, and we want you to go back with a message." So that's what he did. But when he provided us with tobacco, he said, "I'm not an individual that is able to speak, not able to speak in public. So I'm offering you and Alfred tobacco to speak on my behalf." Kino tibachimog. Kagi iguano et kishaan gipaji gen jogotas. What he was told was, as Anishinaabe people, especially in our community, that's the message was to our community. We had traditions when somebody passed away. Families would get together right away, lay out a blanket, start collecting items that belonged to the departed, and then they would wrap them up for later, to disperse later after maybe 3-4 weeks. And he was told, "Kangia be gitishtige sim, ke oyagi machinishon." And then when we have funerals, when we ask a conductor to do a ceremony. But what happens nowadays, well, back in the day, I remember those days as well. And I continue to follow that too. I've done funerals myself. The person that's offered tobacco, mi ettago ege gagi gitat, mi ettago inege bisindat oe kani machat, kish pinazam ni bihawe gagi gitat, umbai kami gisiat, mi ejo anen damind oe kani machat, wanen dami gaza. Usam nogom chinak kami gizimen, tewe ganak koge opimesh maog, mego awya, mego ayagi shebak, pama gizaga kineting, me apiga je minushiminda, tewe ganenanig. Nogom des, miuge ma tewe ganag, taguyat, nagamoge, kain ko ishtige simen. So the message was, in plain and simple terms, we need to go back to the traditional ways of conducting our funerals, and then also having a funeral 2, 3, 4 weeks after the person has gone to distribute the belongings of that departed, because they tona in Kegishichigesing is what we were told at that time. If you don't distribute the belongings of the deceased, then more and more things are apt to happen. Miegai Guang, we were told that's why we're losing so many people. We've forgotten our ways about taking care of those that pass on, and nobody does, hardly anybody ever does the ceremony to disperse the items of the one that has passed on. Miegai Guang, but it seemed like it, in our community anyways, it fell on deaf ears because we're not still following it that way. So I just wanted to convey that to us, because that's one of the things happening is because we're not following our teachings, our traditional ways. I just wanted to say that, I don't want to offend anybody, but I just want the message out there that we should take a good look at how we take care of our people that are going. Maybe that'll lessen the impact as well, because that's what this individual was told when he was sent back. And that guy, Jackie, after he delivered that message, he passed on about 6 months later. But he did come back and shared what he was told by those on the other side. So I thought I'd share that with you. Aomigach.
All right, the floor is still open. I don't know if anyone from our Social Chiefs Committee has anything to say, or if there's anybody back here. Okay, Mona, I'll bring the mic to you.
Bonjour, wapske nimiki pana seek to go ki waiting ang noden a kwe to go ge na meni dotam bejukang don jaba bejko mate me gwach ogechta for sharing that message of that message from Spirit World, and it's a message of hope, and it's a message of guidance. And those are the kind of messages and teachings that really empower me as a Anishinaabe Kwe. And as I sit in that first doorway of my day, I've received teachings that is one of the those are some of the responsibilities of that first doorway, is learning those traditional protocols of that as that transformation as our people leave this realm and return to spirit, return to our spiritual home. So I echo what the Yogicta said, that maybe we need to start looking at revisiting and revitalizing those traditional protocols when it comes to honoring that sacred journey for our loved ones and for ourselves when we return home. And I know it's our nation recently lost. We're losing our elders, our spiritual advisors. And those spiritual advisors that looked after this specific area for our people in our nation, it's sad because it's like we wait until they're gone to finally realize and recognize how important those protocols, those sacred protocols around that transformation and returning to spirit and returning to our home with the Creator and that journey that it entails. We wait until everybody's gone, and then we realize how important it was to have them. We regret not being able to take the time to sit with them and listen and learn from them so that we can carry on these protocols and these teachings. And so to answer, your concerns, Jeff, and everybody else's concerns, I know it's helped me learn to cope and understand grief, not so much through Anishinaabe lens. I don't see it as a loss anymore. Those Medewan teachings of the first doorway, those teachings that our Ogechita spoke about, those ceremonies that he spoke about, that message of hope that he shared, that's what it's done for me in coping with that transformation I don't like to consider it a loss or death, or, I look at it as an honorable time because that is the teaching. And that it is a celebration of life, that it's a beautiful, that we need to be happy for them because they're the ones that are being blessed to be able to return back to their home with their Creator. And they're the ones that get to make that beautiful journey. But it's like teaching our people how to get to that point. And the only way that we're going to be able to help our people arrive to that understanding is through the revitalization of these teachings and ceremonies and protocols. So that guidance doesn't only continue for us to progress as a nation, but it also applies to how we prepare our loved ones when they leave this realm. Oh, miigwech.
Miigwech Mona. We have one comment here, then we'll go to you, Chief.
Bonjour. Can you go bondigo? Mas go see with the zebing the doji, take the totem. Yeah, oh man. Really powerful meeting here this morning. I just really want to acknowledge like the chiefs here, like just the great responsibilities you guys carry for our people and our communities. You know, that's such a big responsibility, huge. Lots is on your shoulders. I could really see that. Thinking about Chief Tom here, and you know the short story he shared about what initiated his change from his career as a police officer, what he's seen. You know, like I could only imagine even Chief Kopanas here that all the challenges in his community that he's seen, and. Yeah, it really brings forth my own journey through grief too. You know, like 2 times in my life I've been through great pain. It's both times it lasted about 2 years. I kind of lived in sadness. There's no other way to say it. I lived in sadness no matter how if I laughed or I could smile, but for 2 years I felt that inside me. And, you know, losing family members, losing people close to you. And I was thinking about, we just buried one of my nephews here not too long ago in January. And I was walking back from the gravesite, and I could see my niece and my nephew walking together. And my niece, both her parents are gone, and my nephew just lost his dad. You know, they're teenagers. I just think like, oh man, like, what do we even do to help that? You know, how do we, there's no way to fill those gaps. But I was just sitting here thinking, like, I think it's good that we're even talking about this. We're bringing these things up as a people. You know, it's not only within our own communities, it's, you know, it's everywhere. So it's like, it's good to talk about this. Even I was talking with my chief last night, Chief Indian here, and you know, because she's been through so much herself, and I totally see that, and I just asked her, you know, like, how have you done it? You know, like, what do you do? Because there's no escape from it. Anybody that's experienced that, there's no escape from the grief. You gotta face it somehow, you know, and like how I chose to do it is just talk about them whenever it comes, you know, so that's kind of what helped me. Oh man, though. But I just want to really acknowledge all your strength here. Miigwech.
Miigwech for sharing. That's a courageous thing to do. Miigwech. We'll go to Chief Cummigan.
Bonjour. Pone yijig dijne kaz. Atik do tem. Kazagate gomag donji. I'm Chief Cummigan from Northwest Angle 33. I'll have to admit that I'm guilty of not letting my husband's belongings go for 2 years. You know, I could make a bunch of excuses why. But it was hard. Very, very hard. He just left. I watched him die on our lawn at home. and there was nothing I could do. I tried calling air ambulance, it wouldn't come. Tried CPR. There was 5, 6 people trying CPR on him, but they couldn't revive him. It's been 2 years since he passed. And yes, I finally gave his clothes away and his belongings because I know I needed to. It took a while. For one thing, I broke my ankle shortly after he had passed. I got sick, was in and out of the hospital. I couldn't gather his stuff together. I didn't have anybody to help me. They said they would, but no. They didn't come. They didn't show up. And so I'm sorry for that. But I finally did give his stuff, sent his stuff off to him. And I actually feel better about it now, because that's something that I was so worried about. I was never taught this stuff. I didn't know what to do. I had to keep asking somebody to tell me what I'm supposed to do. How am I supposed to do it? What am I supposed to do? What do I have to buy? What do I have to give? What do I have to do so that it goes smoothly? I'm sorry, but that's how it was. And I didn't mean no disrespect to my husband. He still comes to me in my dreams. Even last night he came to me in my dreams, and he's just happy, you know. And I miss him. I miss him so terribly. Nobody knows how I feel. Sometimes I'm just sitting on the couch and tears will come pouring out because I don't know what to do sometimes. I'm alone. Well, I have my sister, but she doesn't understand. She's never been married. She's a two-spirited girl. I have my doggies. And I scared them that one day when I finally decided to go home, because it took me a long time to even go to the house after he passed. And everything in that house just reminded me of him. I started crying really loud and screaming, and I scared my doggies. They just started howling and barking and everything, and I said, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. So even the dogs felt it. And that's grief. I never had anybody to talk to about my grief. Maybe my auntie. My auntie was a great help to me, coming to visit me all the time. And I had friends, a little bit of friends in the community that would come and visit, and it hurts like hell to lose your partner, someone you were with for 21 years, and I will never forget him. but I forgot to do some things that I was supposed to. And yes, I feel guilty about it. And I'm sorry. Butch.
Miigwech, Chief, for sharing. I know these are, heavy topics for sure, so I'm glad that we have, some strong leadership here to, lean on one another for support, and also our friends and family as well, and of course, very importantly, our traditional protocols, our smudge, our items here. Are there any other comments, or are you guys going to do do you have a comment? Yeah, okay. I'll turn it over to Reno. You can use this mic.
Miigwech Dara. Ani, bonjour everyone. Usual audition the cause. I take to them. Listening to everybody here talk, it put me a step back about my daughter. 3 years of fighting with her. I came close, me and my wife came close, almost losing our daughter. Suicide thoughts, seeing things that she shouldn't have saw in her place on earth here with us. 3 years of hard work. My parents, her grandparents, all belonged to the Midday Society. They worked just as hard as we did. We always say, and I always believed in our cultural stuff, healing. We're almost running out of resource. A lot of traveling to visitors, to healers, elders, everything. And I sat and spoke to my wife. I said, maybe we need to go the Western way for help, to help our daughter. We can't lose her. She's the third daughter that I have out of 4. And it was hard for her siblings to see what she had to go through. And hearing everybody's story, it just brought me back to what we had to go through as a young family. But following the Western way of medicine, it's what saved her. And as of today, she's not quite 100% yet. I say she's about 80%. She does still have her little struggles here and there. We've tried everything for her to help. But she's found her way of healing now. And she's getting stronger every day. And that healing got into beading. She started beading earrings and medallions this year. And it's really helped her a lot. So we supported her that way. And she talked about running her own business, which threw a light bulb on my head. I said, okay, let's do this then. You're going to be an entrepreneur now. So we went to the bank. We put some stuff together for her. She's going to be running her business here. Hopefully by this midsummer, she said she'll be out on the Powell Trail selling her items that saved her, she said. The first earring she made, she kept for herself as a sign of healing and the strength that she took to learn how to do this on her own. She belongs to a lot of Facebook pages on beading, and there's a lot of compliments that I see on there that she's inspired by them, pushed her. And the loss of her grandma too, my father, there was the grief too that's hopped on piles and piles of her struggle being here. Alcohol, drugs, everything. Sitting here listening to everybody about griefs and everything. Yesterday I was talking, quick conversation with Chief Copenes here. All the funerals that have been going on in our communities, our young ones. And I talk a lot with our grassroots people, especially our kids. And one of them said, not from our community here in Saskatchewan, but she was from a different community. She says, why do we have funerals in our school gyms, in our schools, when it's a place of learning? A place of learning, she said. I buried my friend Sunday afternoon, and I had to come back into that school that same day and relive the whole thing again. I paused her. I says, you know what? I says, young lady, I says, you're very smart for saying something like that. Very brave. I encourage you to come to these meetings and bring those to the chiefs. And she said, I can't do that. It's too hard for me. And she says, who am I though? I said, you're someone important to us. You're the grassroots of this land that we walk and live on. With your permission, would you be okay if I say it at the next chief assembly or wherever we have all our chiefs at? She said, go ahead. Because I don't want to live through that again. Bury my friends, family, and then go to school the same day they were in. I looked right at her, right in her eye, and I gave her the biggest hug I could ever do, like she was my daughter. Like how we all hug our kids. And I told her that, you know what? Just because you said what you had to say, now you became one of my daughters. Because it takes a lot for a young kid to say something like this. So when we talk about griefs, even I still go through it with the loss of my dad. We still go through it. He was a chief of our community here in the past. And it still hurts some of us. You know, my uncle's here as well. My kids, they get really happy when they see my uncle because they see a spitting image of my father, their grandpa. So, you know, the point is here, though, Darlene, you're not the only one. We're all struggling too as well as leadership, council, as human beings on this land. I'm guilty as well because I still hold on to my dad's items at home. Everything. I understand what Francis was saying, the teaching. Because I remember growing up in White Dog and seeing all this stuff being done, get rid of that stuff right away. But these were directions that our father gave us to hold on to his items for 4 years. But that was tough for me as well. I said, we have to get rid of those. Telling my mom, my stepmom, Darlene. But she says, we have to honor your dad's wishes, though. So I said, okay, we'll do that then. So I just want to bring that to our chief's attentions and the proxies here. I'm proxy for our Chief Copenes of the Saskatchewan Anishinaabe Nation is that let's not hold any more funerals in schools, okay? Let's protect our children. That's what we're here for. And we need to start walking the walk, not just all talk. Let's protect our future because the mental health is really dangerous. It's bad. We talk about drugs and alcohol, but the biggest drug out there is sugar. We got to get rid of that. Control it. Look after each other. Like we say, it takes a village to raise a kid. Let's do that. Miigwech.
Miigwech Reno, proxy for Nisatchwan. So I haven't been signaled for any other comments or questions. I just want to take this opportunity to say miigwech for everyone for sharing, and miigwech to our social chiefs here and technicians too for doing the work that they do. As evident here, you know, a lot of the stuff that is carried is very heavy. And I'm glad that, you know, resources was mentioned as well. Grand Council Treaty 3 has a list of mental health resources as well that's available. So if you are interested in those and sharing those with your members, please just go see one of their booths. Outside, we still have our vendor tent out there too. I was asked to share that as a reminder. There's actually some other vendors there today too. So it's not all the same ones from yesterday. There's new ones that arrived today. So I'm just going to call for a quick break. I think it's, you know, we think it's a good time for that. So we're going to do that, a quick 10-minute break, maybe 15-minute, and then we'll come back and we'll continue with our National Assembly. We have one last item. Miigwech.
Aho, miigwech. Miigwech dinagi yeah. I'm a cook way out. Jesus Shomus, Degan, miigwech apache. One more item before we get into the Chiefs Assembly. We have a record of decision to discuss. Chief Waylon Scott had mentioned some support for the First Nations out in Alberta. You have a copy in front of you, and we'll deal with it. Right now, the resolution record of decision states, therefore be it resolved, the Anishinaabe Nation in Treaty 3 expresses its full support for the treaty rights holders of Treaty 6, Treaty 7, Treaty 8, and Treaty 10 in the defense of their sovereign right to self-determination. Finally, be it resolved, the Anishinaabe Nation in Treaty 3 calls upon all provincial and territory governments to fully recognize the treaty rights of First Nations and ensure First Nations remain a key partner of any and all political decisions affecting treaty lands. So in a National Assembly, we have anyone can move, any citizen from Treaty 3 can move the resolution or second the resolution or address the resolution. I have a mover, Chief Waylon Scott. Do we have a seconder? Seconder for the motion. Dave Breer has seconded the resolution. Chief Scott, do you want to address the resolution, please?
So I think, can you hear me? There we go. So I think, I know Councillor Briere seconded, but just for the record, Elder Terry Green also raised his hand to move the resolution, so maybe he can be the third mover. So I guess in terms of the resolution being supported, or the support it needs, I'm kind of thinking that since this is a National Assembly, giving the opportunity to our national citizens as well, community members from the nations to also support this resolution rather than just the chiefs supporting this resolution. Like I mentioned yesterday, this would be a collective show of support, not only just from the Treaty 3 chiefs, but also from the Treaty 3 Nations community members that are also with us here today. So I think when it's time to ask for who's all in favor, also affording that opportunity to our citizens to also have that opportunity to vote for the resolution, so that, again, the participants of the National Assembly are able to vote collectively on this resolution with the chiefs. And I think the showing the our support is of high importance, especially with the threat that these treaties are, with the threat of separation. I know that our brothers and sisters faced the same thing in Quebec many years ago, decades ago, and it looks like we're kind of doing part two of this separation. At one of our board meetings with Treaty 3 chiefs, I know Francis was trying to talk about separation from Northwestern Ontario too. We had to talk him out of it. No, just kidding. But yeah, it'll be, I'm not too sure how we can deliver this message once this resolution is passed. I'm not too sure if we need to send a delegation to Alberta to go and express our support for them. I don't think simply sending an email to them would suffice. So maybe that's something that can be talked about in the coming days, if not coming weeks, to possibly send a delegation. If not, we'll figure something out on how we can express our full support. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Agama Khan. Councillor Dave Breer, proxy for Couchiching. Do you want to speak to the resolution?
Yeah, Dave Burr from Kuchin. I really felt spirited to second this motion. Back in 1971, up to about 74, 75, I had lived in the province of Alberta. And I had strongly associated with the Blackfoot people out there. Also, the people of the Blood tribe. They treated me very well out at the time. And then a number of years later, after I was married, Laura is with me. We've been married for 53 years. At that time, I'm not sure of the exact date, but we had one child. The child was Lorene, and at that time, we moved back to Port Francis, and we were invited back to Alberta for their 100th celebration of the treaty. And we also went to the Calgary Stampede that year, and at that time, Prince Charles was also out there. He was celebrating. He is now our king. Also, the Prime Minister of Canada was there. I believe that was Diefenbaker. Yes, and we do have a picture with him. So thank you for that opportunity to second that motion. Miigwech.
Oh, Miigwech. Any other discussion regarding the record of decision? If not, I'll ask for a vote. As Chief Scott has mentioned, it's for everyone that's in the room to vote, not only the chiefs, but also the citizens of Treaty 3. So I'll ask for a raise of hands. All in favor?
Don, before we go to the vote,
Yes.
Our interpreter here wants to have a moment.
Okay. Richard?
He said he's going to speak in French.
Ni pa kwa shimigo jina. Ma we got to make iga Bill 5. Mi manish ni kati. Kati to make.
Right. No, we're not on Bill 5 yet.
Go Pama season go back question.
Okay.
Pama nagat.
Okay. Miigwech. So oh, Chief Scott is straightening them out. I'll miigwech. So do we have a raise of hands for all in favor of the record of decision? Okay, normally it's done by consensus. The record of decision has been passed. Terry, do you have a few words? Okay, he's in favor. Miigwech. So that concludes the National Assembly. I'll ask our Grand Chief to close this portion.
Miigwech, you got evidence done. Just want to say, miigwech for your discussions. I know we received a lot of direction, moving forward. Miigwech for that. So now I'll take the opportunity to close the National Assembly part of our 3-day gathering, and now we'll move into the Chiefs meeting. So with that, Don can proceed.
Miigwech, Ogichita. Again, I ask the assembly to silence your phones, put them on vibrate. Yesterday, I heard 9 phones go off. That's $180. 100 goes to Donna, 80 for me. Miigwech. Kibojo ninam minoa.